listening to a live episode of Surviving the Survivor. We bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation, and welcome to another episode of Surviving the Survivor, the podcast that promises and delivers in bringing you the very best guests in all of true crime. And the trio, you're only seeing two of them right now tonight, is among the most informed and fun that we always have. The COE, for full disclosure, just reprimanded Larry and said, try to keep the F-bombs to under 1,003 so that I can feed my kids at some point. Before we get into this,
I'll start off by saying fuck. So now I have 1,002.
There we go. Before we get going, and I'm going to tell you what we're talking about tonight, there are certain people who I respect and value, and among them are the people that learn life the hard way, and that's these two guys. As I get closer to embarking on my book tour, which begins on Monday, I am stressed out of my mind. Carm is stressed out of her mind. It's going to be a lot of travel for her. So, Tommy Scoville, I know you're in recovery. Before I just quit everything and put my hands in the air and walk away from it all, what is your advice to me, Tommy Scoville?
You know what? Journal more. Changed my life. Get a journal. Start writing it more.
Tell me about that. What do you do when you journal? What do you do?
I found that at the end of the day, if I don't take everything that happened and kind of organize it before I go to bed, then the night shift, what's working during my dreaming doesn't take care of business. And then if I get up in the morning and I don't journal, when I start the day, I got everything from the night before jumbled in there. And seriously, I tried to get sober for 30 years. The real difference, the real linchpin was that I started journaling constantly. And that's what's kept me sober. And
let me ask you a question. So, like, how much do you write at night? How much do you write in the morning? Like, do you do it for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of words?
I do. I take about 15 minutes at night and 15 minutes in the morning. And there are days that I go over and there are days that it takes 4 minutes, but I just dump what's ever in my head. Just let it all out.
Wow. And what does that, I'm curious, what does that do for you? Because someone else has suggested that. Is it just like throwing it all up? Is that what it's like?
Yeah, it's literally an info dump. So the theory behind this, and the smarter people than me came up with it, is that when you go to bed, the dreaming that takes place is your brain subconsciously trying to reorganize what happened during the day so it makes sense. If you write it all out before you go to bed, that doesn't need to take place the same way, and your subconscious can start working on things like what's really bothering you, and why mom didn't love you as much as your brother or whatever. And that's when you can get to more of the core of the issues. But when I was in prison, I read biographies. Everybody successful journaled. Like I never read one successful biography of someone that didn't journal. So it seems to be a pattern.
And one last question. Do you do it on a computer or do you literally write it out like on a pad?
I do it by hand. I do.
do.
I probably have 70 of them since I got sober. Yeah.
I'm going to have to start. Most of my dreams consist of me sobbing that I'm unemployed. I have illegitimate children. This is a nightly trying to introduce my illegitimate children to the COE. It's a fun night when I go to bed. Huh. Larry Levine, what is your advice to me since we're talking about stress?
Don't let people get you down. You've got to learn to adapt. Get with the program. Go with the flow. I mean, don't be a lay down or anything. Biggest problem people have is they're stuck on one thing. As situations change, you need to change. Like, situations are fluid. So constantly reevaluate what's going on and reinvent yourself. I mean, what Tommy said makes sense because I have all kinds of good ideas in my head. And then the next day, they're gone. I mean, some of them are there, and I dream at night. I mean, I didn't get in a hot tub with 2 naked women during the day, but I may dream about that. So where did that come from? Who knows? Tommy, where did that come from?
I'll tell you what, wherever it comes from, I need more of it. I realize I need a lot more of it in my life.
But
look at this.
I've learned to change and adapt. People around you change and adapt. People come and go in our lives. People that were important yesterday may not be important today. So life is a constant journey of adapting and living. That's what you need to do. Now that I've said that, I have no idea. Why are we saying this? What journey are you going on? You're going on a book tour. I know
I'm going on a book tour. I'm juggling a lot of things here. Not that everyone else isn't. Lindsay Shea wants to know, does Larry journal? Larry, I cannot see you getting under the covers at night with your notebook and pen. Do you?
I do not. I just recently started using Google Sheets, where I'll do like a planner. Kind of like, I'm not journaling, but I'll do a planner at night. And then the next day I'll check shit off. And some stuff I may just eliminate. I've spent a lot of money on things before and just in the middle of the project got rid of it because it wasn't feasible. So I think to a certain degree, I have nervous anxiety and I don't follow through on a lot of things. I follow through on what I feel is important. But the answer to her question is, no, I do not journal, but listening to what Tommy said, maybe I should.
Yeah, look at this. Larry's one of my favorite guests, followed by Tommy looks so distinguished tonight. Now, look, if I ask this question to my friends, I have a friend that's got an MD, PhD from Harvard and Princeton. You know what he would say to me? He'd say, go see a shrink or something along those lines, or he would have no idea. Guy's clueless. These guys have real life experience. That's why I'm asking him.
Hey, I'm a certified life coach. I kid you not. And the shit that I am, really, I went to training for this. The thought was I was going into businesses looking around to see who we could fire and look for problems and theft. I didn't have any degree. So somebody said, well, why don't you get a life coaching certificate and we could use that? So I did. So I hear people's problems every fucking day. I do. Some people I can help, some people I can't. I get the chomos. You know what a chomo is?
Yeah.
They call me, you know, and I listen to what they have to say. I really don't want to help them. So I give them some spiritual guidance. I ask them if they're religious. And if they say yes, I go, well, that's good. Because you need to pray to God because you're going to get beat up every fucking day. It's not true. They're really not. I just say them that so they're scared when they go in because that's my way of giving back to the community.
Go ahead, Tommy.
I said it's a service. They've got that coming, to be sure. Yeah, that would be a hard one. I'm not surprised that you're a life coach, though. I really am not.
Me neither. Larry, I might have to hire Larry.
Prison, yeah, I think it's a solid bet for you, Joel.
Hey,
Larry,
Steve, I'll comp you. How's that?
I love it. What do you charge? What do you charge a day?
We go back a long way. Remember 15 years ago we were doing the morning show on CBS?
Yeah, 100%.
Have I ever bullshitted you? No,
never. And
I get $50 to $75 an hour, sometimes $100. I have a sliding scale. Sometimes I don't charge anybody anything at all. It just
the life coaching will not direct me into prison at any time, will it?
That's a personal choice on your part.
I love it. Oh, look at this from Heather Lynn. Want to know why I watch STS? Because Joel humanizes himself. Love hearing about the COE and CARM. Thank you so much, Joel. This is true. He has nightmares. He's in prison. All right. Enough about me and my worries and all of that. We'll get back to it. Look at this. Blackwood Door, one of my best friends in the world from the Republic of Ireland who I've never met. I have a Dear Mammy. We say mommy here, but Mammy book in Ireland. It's the same idea, but more like chat. And then look at this. Bayou Babe says, Tommy Scoville, my captain on the lifeboat. Man, I was reading in the chat the other day, I forget who it was, said she used to drink 175, one of those big jugs of vodka a night, Tommy, and that she didn't get sober. She would not have made it out. Tommy, if someone tonight, luckily that's not one of my issues, has got a 175, my friend, I'm not going to mention his name. We were talking about him off air. He's in recovery. He used to do that. Tommy Scoville, if someone is drinking a 175 of vodka tonight before they go to bed, what would you say to them?
My first piece of advice would be do not quit that without talking to a doctor, because if you're drinking that much alcohol, cold turkey will kill you. So you need
chemical dependency.
Yeah, you're ugly at that point. That you're going to need some medical assisted treatment in order to get off of that without seizing up and dying. So that would be my first piece of advice. And that it literally is killing you. You know, this is if you research the substance, it sucks all of the water out of every single cell in your body. Couple of glasses of wine, you know, who cares? But But if you're drinking a fifth of vodka a day, what it is doing to you is literally horrific. You know, you're not going to have a long life if you don't get that under control.
Oh, look at this. Patriotic. The answer is simple. Go see a therapist. Carm is a therapist. Go see Carm. There you go, Joel. That's the key. Go see Carm. Carm is, I love her to death, is one of the people that will make my blood pressure shoot up. Frankie Fig spreading rumors. Joel's not drinking vodka, maybe a little bit on the weekends, but I actually haven't. I stick to tequila.
There you go.
I like tequila. It's healthier. Anyway, I have a creative vision. I think that once a month, we got to get Tommy and Larry. And by the way, Jackie Polverari is coming on. She's stuck in there's been a crazy accident in Connecticut where she lives, but she'll be on. I'd say that once a month, screw true crime. I say we bring these guys on and we just do life advice with these guys. How about that? So that's my idea. And I'll talk to them. So Tommy Scoville, of course, you guys know, a former inmate. He was doing really well in life, got addicted to drugs. He wound up in prison for bank robbery. Now he's out. He's got the lifeboat and helping people get sober. Jackie Polverari is on her way. 25 years as a successful businesswoman. She's the founder of Evolution Reentry Services. She went down the wrong path about a decade ago. Was arrested and incarcerated for a white collar crime. I think it was mortgage fraud. And then you got Larry Levine here. By the way, Larry, you look like you've dropped a lot of weight. You look great. You look fantastic. But is this true? Have you dropped a lot of weight, Larry?
I have. Turns out I have a thyroid issue, hyperthyroidism. My wife told me one day, well, you look like you've dropped a bunch of weight. So I went on the scale and I looked at, here's some jackass telling me curb my language. Fuck you. So I jumped on the scale and I'm like, shit, I did lose a lot of weight. So I went and had some blood work done. I have it under control now. Some of it might be an after effect from COVID. I've had COVID 3 times. And I fall asleep about 3:30. This is my nap time right now that we're on here. Every day like clockwork. I just get tired. Now, I've got a couch over at my office, at my studio. So sometimes I crash there, but I've dropped about 35 pounds.
Yeah, you look great. Look at this, North Star with 2 R's. Best guests. I myself served 17 years. Well, North Star, glad that you're out and about. And
I wish she had been in my cell. We could have served that time together.
Yeah, you could have done it together. Frankie Figs letting everyone know, if you stop that vodka cold turkey, you're going to end up with seizures. So listen to Scoville and Larry on that one. The liver is screaming. Yeah. So we are gathered here today because of our friend Charlie Adelson. He's back in the news a little bit. Tommy Scoville. So this is a tricky sort of situation. Tommy Scoville's got contacts who are still in. And Tommy, I'll let you take it from here regarding what you personally found out regarding Charlie Adelson.
Yeah, the word is, and I don't think this is going to come as a shock to anybody, that this man is green lighted. I don't, and I think Larry's probably the same way. If you do time, you tend to get a lot of respect for the people in there that do their time tipped up. You know, guys that are in organizations, and some of these organizations are really solid cats that do really solid time, and we don't put them on blast. But the word is that this cat's green lit. And it's from a fairly, it's from a source I wouldn't out, but it's from a guy that I trust emphatically. And it's not. I don't think this should be a shocker to anybody in North America, right? This one he laid himself out, I think, pretty good.
Yeah, and so listen, everyone, everything is on the table tonight. You can ask Larry life advice since he's a life coach. You can ask about Charlie. You can ask any prison questions, anything at all. Just put it in the triple Q caps, and we will we'll get the questions to you. Now, word on the street, Tommy, is that Sigfredo Garcia, who is a convicted killer in this case, sentenced to life in a Florida state prison, that he's the one who put this hit out on Charlie, he himself. Was that corroborated to you, Tommy?
That is what people are saying. That is definitely the word that I got. Again, I don't think this ought to be a shocker, right? This is if you followed this case at all, unless you just showed up here just now, but if you have followed this case in any way, I think that this is I'm a little surprised that it took us this long for news to filter out that this is in fact a reality.
So for those who are relatively new to this case, and this is our OG case, the Dan Markel, may he rest in peace. And I'm heading to Toronto on the book tour. But Charlie Adelson was convicted on November 6th in under 3 hours of deliberations. It was after an 8-day trial. They found him of guilty of murder, and he was one of the people that sort of spearheaded hiring Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera. Luis Rivera is a smart one who cut a deal, but both of them are actually, Luis is the only Latin King gang member, but Sigfredo hangs, and I'm sure still does, with members of that gang, and who knows if he's in it now or not. But it's those two people who are none too pleased with the fact that his defense at his trial was that the Latin King gang tried to double extort. It was a double extortion plot. Let's put it that way, that the Latin King gang was trying to extort the Adelson family. A big question here for you, Larry, the crux of this whole story. Serene wants to know, what does being green lighted mean?
Green light means that someone issued a contract on someone. They're going to put a bullet in his head or kill him, however, and someone okayed it. Let's say in a prison, you've got shot callers for the different races, and the shot caller wants someone hit. They green light it. Hey, first of all, they'll get with the other shot callers, generally from all the races, to let them know this is the issue, because no one wants to disrupt the prison, because it disrupts the gambling and the drug trade and all that.
Wait, Larry, so hang on one second. Are you saying shock or shot with a T?
Like a shot caller. Shot caller is a person in charge.
Okay. Never heard
like
that term
senior
in my life.
Inmate, like the MA, that's the Mexican Mafia, the Latin Kings, the
Big homie.
Aryan Brotherhood, Serenios, the South Side.
Now does every I don't even know what the word is. What's the word? Every little unit. What's the word I'm looking? Every what?
Car.
Every
That's
car.
Yeah.
So every car has a shot caller. Are you saying shot caller?
Shot, like they're the ones calling the shots.
Oh, shot caller. I thought you were saying collar. That's where I was getting confused. Must be your Boston accent.
It's from Brooklyn.
I get it now. For some reason, I kept hearing the word collar. I get it. Okay, so every car has a shot caller. Okay, I got you. Go ahead, Larry.
And a car is the people that you run with.
Okay.
See, you'll meet a lot of people inside, but you'll have maybe a half a dozen people, maybe a little bit more, that you'll hang out with, and you'll know about their shit. They'll know about your shit. And you stay within your car. And if the shit jumps off, and that means if there's a riot, there's a disturbance, somebody gets attacked, you need to support the people in your car, because if you get attacked, assaulted, you expect them to support you as well. So this guy was green lighted. It's kind of like the word gets out, someone's a rat. That's a big thing in a prison. Somebody green lights this guy. All right, let's beat the shit out of him. Seriously. No one's going to help the guy out. No one's going to care. And the guy might get killed. He might get assaulted. Who knows? Something will happen to them. They may end up leaving in a pine box. It's called escape by death. That's what they classify that as.
Well,
so it's highly possible.
This ought to help my dream situation. Phantom 6000, by the way, a friend of the show, a friend of mine. Hey, guys, glad to be here today. Who's the most effective shot caller in this group? I'd have to say it's me, no doubt. Would I be running the show in the car, Tommy Scoville, or would it be Larry or you? I'm feeling it'd be Tommy.
I was going to say it was COE, if you really want to know the truth. Never see them. They're working behind the scenes, and they're calling the shots. It seems like that's probably the better bet.
Tommy, what?
I'm the program director.
Yes, I'm always fascinated. Tommy Scoville, this is a great question, and I've got questions about shot callers here. But from Jessica, if Sigfredo is not in the Latin Kings, which as far as we know, he was not, he might be now, can he put a hit out on someone Larry's shaking his head. Tommy Scoville, your answer to this.
As Larry was describing, if you've got a beef with somebody, you're going to take that beef to the shot caller to get permission. And if the shot caller goes, oh, okay, this guy's a piece of crap, and basically you have the ability, very often they'll say, I want to see some paperwork. You say this guy's a piece of crap, prove it. You come rolling in with paperwork that shows, hey, in this case right here, he said this, this, and this about this guy. He took the stand. Like, you've got the proof. Now the green light happens. That shot caller goes, yep, green light, make this happen. And now, okay, you got to get permission to do anything like that inside.
And the Kings might say, all right, well, let us do it. He may have to pay them. That there's contract killers in there that'll do whatever.
No question.
So you can easily, Larry, you can hire someone to kill somebody in prison for a fee.
Sure.
What kind of fee is that, Larry?
Well, generally the funds are exchanged on the outside where somebody will pay somebody's family member. So nobody's doing it for a Snickers bar or anything. Mm-hmm. I never had that done when I was inside, but I imagine it's pretty expensive. You know, it is what it is. Some people deserve to die. There's just they deserve it. They got what they had coming to them. There's a woman that I know who I really can't stand. She was like level 42 in the U.S. sentencing guidelines, 10 pounds of heroin, 50 pounds of fentanyl. It's a cartel case. Tommy, this lady shouldn't have got about 360
to life. That's the only thing.
Take a guess how much time she just got. I'm not going to say her name.
If she got less than 360, she's a rat.
She got 18 fucking months. I kid you not. The cartel's not going to forget. She'll get what she has coming to her. I guarantee you.
He makes a really good point too. You know what? Larry makes a really good point. When every inmate inside knows what a federal sentencing guideline sheet, when he said she's 42 on the federal sentence, that's 360 to life, 360 months to life. That's what it carries.
It's like the person, they have 10 kilos of cocaine, which is going to get them at least 10 to 15 years. And they come back. Well, how much time did you get? I got 36 months. I go, really? You got 36 months? They go, the judge was feeling nice that day. I go, really? Maybe the judge will send his wife over to have sex with you too.
Yeah. Or
the other one. You know by people's charges, the quantity, how much money they stole, and how much time they should get.
That's interesting.
You can figure out who the rats are and who the rats aren't.
That's interesting. I have a super dumb question, Tommy, but you said you have to present the shot caller paperwork. I mean, can you just go to the library in prison and pull up paperwork on people?
If you're really good at it, or if you've got somebody that's good at it, the problem with that is they tend to monitor the computers pretty closely. And if there's somebody in the computer who's on the yard, they tend to try to purge it. If you're able to find it, it's a really quick way off the yard. So what most people do is call home and have their wife or girlfriend pace her.
Tommy is 100% right, but you know that there's an epidemic on the inside of cell phones. Inmates have cell phones illegally, and they go and they scan the news. They go into Pacer. They go into the court system and pull people's convictions, so they know. That's how they find out who the child molesters are, the chomos, the people with kiddie porn. They go online. They find it out, and it's a done deal.
Yep.
Surge Deb here, back to Tommy. I'm lost. Did someone put an official hit out on Charlie Adelson? How do you answer that question, Tommy Scoville?
What I will say is this. I've been told that in no uncertain terms, there's a green light on this cat. That's what I was told.
And the green light means in prison parlance that there is a hit on him.
There is a hit on this.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of follow-up questions here, but this always, actually, the other one came up a lot. This one, look at this, Larry. They're looking out for you. Samantha Marlman. Larry, true story. I lost 115 pounds from hyperthyroidism, now turned to Graves' disease. Once I got meds, I gained my weight back. Stay on top of your thyroid and meds because it'll mess with you. The symptoms are nuts. So, Larry,
my doctor thought I had Graves' disease. I got tested. It turns out that I don't. I'm on some med. It starts like with meth. So I could say I'm doing meth, but the medicine, the thyroid medicine they have me on is some meth something, and it seems to help. But then again, I'm not a fucking doctor. Who knows? I'm alive. I had somebody today tell me how sad their life was and they had nothing to live for. And I pointed out, you're married, you have 2 beautiful kids, you have a nice house, you have money in the bank, and you have food. I said, maybe you're not happy, but never say you don't have anything to live for.
That's why I love Larry Levine. That's why I love these guys. That's why I love these guys. Look at this. Tommy Scoville, great question. Sharon Chipley, she has not been convicted yet, but she is in jail, and we'll talk about her with Jackie if Jackie gets here, which I hope she does. Do you suppose that Donna will get greenlit too, assuming she's convicted and goes to the big house, Tommy Scoville?
I have got some people that have reached out to me since I started the channel who have done time in women's prisons, and it doesn't seem to me to be the same. There's violence in there. There's all kinds of stuff. It's not the same as it is in a men's prison. I really doubt there's going to be a hit on the older woman. I doubt that, but we'll see, I guess.
This is news to me coming up in a minute, but from Hey, it's Jay. Larry, what was your scariest incident in prison? Was it life-threatening to you or someone else, if you care to share? Some of these stories are, can be confidential or private, but go ahead.
I was in for 10 years, narcotics trafficking, securities fraud, racketeering, obstruction of justice, machine guns. I had like a variety of crimes. They moved me around to a lot of different institutions because they were pissed off at me getting people out early, medical care, transfers. They weren't happy with me. It was not diesel therapy because everyone says that. That's when they move you around to punish you. I never at any institution had anyone screw with me anywhere because I made myself useful. I was in the law library helping people, and I didn't rat anyone out. Now, the scariest thing I know of, I'm at FCI Phoenix. They call it Black Canyon. It's a medium high. I hadn't been there that long.
That's federal, correct, Fred? Federal, correct?
Federal.
Okay.
I've been there.
Okay. So that's where they have the
I haven't yet. I haven't
Tommy
yet.
knows where that is. That's where all the rats are. They
That's
call
right.
it the
Cheese factory.
because there's rats. But anyway, so I'm in this TV room in my housing unit. We were living in cells, but you're not in your cell all day. Forget the shit you see on TV. So I'm in this TV room. I'm talking to some guy. I'd never seen him before. And we were just talking about stuff. And I asked him, well, how much time are you doing? He goes, I'm doing life. I go, wow, well, I'm sorry to hear that. He goes, it's okay. He was a Hispanic guy. And we just chatted for a while. And I left the TV room to go back to my cell to get some rack time. Maybe about 10 minutes after I get back to my cell, someone hit the deuces. That means it's a recall. Everyone to your cells. They set off the alarm. Something happened. Well, this guy made the mistake of changing the channel on the TV, and he didn't ask anyone's permission. And somebody took a pencil and stabbed him in the neck like 15 times or something and killed him. So people ask me, was I scared when I was in there? No, I wasn't scared, but I was cautious, and I kept my situational awareness up at all times because the shit can just jump off anytime.
Wow, that's crazy. What else is crazy is this. COE, are you here? I ordered your book. I'm assuming my book on Audible, Surviving the Survivor. My publisher doesn't tell me anything, and I had no idea. Can someone let me know if I am now on Audible, if the book is? I would love to know that. I had no idea, which is why I've kept this up. Look at Jody Johnston. I love true crime and would love these 3 guests weekly, please. Well, we're going to get them on. I actually love my idea of like an Ask Anything type show with these guys, or maybe the life coaches. Maybe that's the name of the best life coaching. Maybe we'll do that. Look at this. Come on, Joel. You never wanted to be a baller, shot caller with 20-inch blades on the Impala. Or Pacifica in your case. Yes. I don't even know what 20-inch blades are. Those wheels, I have no friggin' idea. Someone asked, Larry, we've discussed this before. I think it was Abby, actually, she asked earlier how I would do in prison. Your response, Larry Levine.
I believe that you will do okay because you're not an idiot. You're not disrespectful. You're a business person. First of all, you're not going into the pen. You're going to a white collar kiddie camp, minimum security, no fences. Yep. You're living in a dormitory. You're one of those people that you fucked up somehow, and it happens for whatever reason.
I wish I had enough money to go to prison for that, but I don't.
Well, You just want to get in there, do your time, get out, and get back to your family. Yeah. And that's what a majority of people in your situation, economic situation, education are. There's a lot of people that get out and they go back, and that's called doing life on the installment plan. It's like a revolving door, in and out, in and out. And as you spend more time in custody, your custody level and your custody points start going up because now you're a repeat offender. Here's something that no one realizes about Trump and all his cases. Let's say he gets convicted in New York on this state case. Who knows? It could happen. Maybe, maybe not. Let's say he does. Well, now he goes into one of these federal cases. And at the time they sentence him, if he gets convicted, he's not a first-time offender now. Now he's a habitual offender. And this will bite him in the ass. He may not end up being able to go to a camp. Who knows? Well, they could put a detainer on.
Yeah,
it gets uglier too, Joel. He makes a great point. If you went in, right? If you go in there and you catch a camp, the way that they do time at the lower custody levels, there's a lot of cutting up. It's like a college campus without girls there. It's not like a prison, and I think you probably do fine. At the upper custody levels, you tend to run into a lot of guys who shave their head not for appearance looks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those guys, I don't think you want to do a lot of time around as a general principle.
We would try to extort you for sure.
Yeah, you might want to avoid those cats.
Tommy Scoville for Michelle Abbott. A lot of questions coming in now. Sigfredo has nothing to lose. He's in there for life, and life in Florida is life. That makes him really scary. Are you scared, Charlie? But what about this notion, Tommy? What does Sigfredo have to lose? He's not getting it out no matter what.
No, and by the way, it doesn't matter much. I mean, by the time the person who looked at this went, yeah, go ahead and green light him, then it doesn't matter. It's not going to be that cat reaching out to touch somebody. Someone's going to get him, but there's no telling who it's going to be. Okay. Usually when the green light comes on, it's fast.
In retrospect, let's look at Whitey Bulger, who got him out. The guys that took him out were serving life. They had nothing to lose. What did they care? And they got what's called street cred, even though they're inside.
Yeah.
You go and you take a rat out, a high-profile rat. Yeah, you're never getting out, but now you've got more respect than you can ever believe. And that's what these guys live on.
They live on it. He's absolutely right. That's
currency. They get. I mean, what kind of currency? What does that do for them in prison? I mean, do people move out of the way for them? They get to eat first. I mean, what is it?
Yeah, and when you get to a new yard, right? Even if you're not a guy that goes and does something like that, who may not be affiliated with a gang or anything else, but when he gets to that yard, the gangs are going to roll out a red carpet for him as if he is. You know, the people who take out high-profile rats become celebrities. Even guys who punch people. The guy that punched Jared from Subway ended up a real celebrity.
That was my client that did that. I was
a celebrity in there
about that.
That guy needs to get his hand shook, hand shook. Yeah, that guy should. What did he do? He smacked Jared. Is that what happened?
He did.
Smacked him in the showers.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, go thank your client for us for that. Jared's a no good human being. Zach Sawyer to Larry. Once you're green lighted or green lit, I guess, is there anything that you can do to get off the list? Can you go there and make a case to the shot caller?
Now, you know what? Once you've got a fucking target on your back, that's it. You're going to have to do what's called check in, PC up, where they're going to stick you into protective custody. And eventually they'll move you. And you may be okay in your new yard for a while, but sooner or later, someone's going to touch down there and they're going to know that your reputation follows you. I want to take a step back and talk about, I was locked up with a guy in Safford, Arizona, Mr. Clark. He was a short, little, fat, white guy. He was the first guy that went postal. And he went to work and he killed people. He killed his ex-mother-in-law, his ex-wife, and 3 of his co-workers. Now, this guy wasn't really a threat to anybody. He said he killed everyone but the dog, and somebody asked him, well, why didn't you kill the dog? He said, well, I like the dog. So
that part is admirable. That part is admirable.
He was a nice guy, but I'll tell you what, all the gangbangers and all the real dangerous people, they respected Mr. Clark. because no one's going to screw with somebody that killed 5 people. So he had a lot of respect.
And what did he ever reveal to you what triggered him so badly that he went and killed him? He just he was annoyed.
Depression. He said that his coworkers treated him like shit. He hated his ex-wife, and the mother-in-law, a long time ago. Yeah. The mother-in-law encouraged her to do it, but he seemed normal. I was on Con Air. Tommy, did you ever ride Con Air?
7 times.
Yeah. Okay, Justice Prisoner Air Transportation.
Like Con Air, like the movie. You guys are on the actual plane here.
A little different than the movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
You're on an airliner, and there are no stewardesses. There's U.S. Marshals. Okay. I was chained up next to a guy who was a serial killer. Killed 11 people. And I'm glad we were chained up and shit. But I'm just talking to this guy. I didn't know who he was. And he told me, well, I'm in for this and I'm doing life. And I'm saying, oh, okay. I'm shaking my head. And I asked him, I go, well, why did you do it? He goes, well, they all deserved it. He goes, no one will miss them anyway. So he justified what he did. And I just shook my head. What are you going to say to someone like that?
Yeah, there's not much to say. I guess he's not very remorseful, but that's what makes
him not. But here's the scary part, Joel.
Yeah.
He seemed normal.
Yeah.
As normal as you or I, as Tommy.
Yep.
He had no mannerisms of a dangerous, violent person.
You
they
can't
say
judge
it's the quiet ones you need to watch anyway, but who knows?
Yeah. You can't judge a book by its cover. In an odd way, this is making me slowly feel better about my own life.
You'll dream about this tonight.
Yeah. I have so many follow-up questions, and I just forgot the one I was going to ask. But I'm back to for a second. Tommy, take me through the life of a shot caller for a minute. Like what? I just hit a button that did something I've never seen before. What, like, do they literally have? I'm curious how this works. Do they have like a little setup in the prison? Like the people are people constantly coming to them all day, like the CEO of a company, and saying, hey, whatever your name is, whatever they call him, Big Dog. Hey, Big Dog, what do you think? Can we do this? Next guy. Hey, Big Dog, can we? How does that work? Does he have like lieutenants? Take me through
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. So the guy he starts out as a small timer and he works his way up through the ranks and he keeps going. And eventually a big homie says, so-and-so just got shipped off the yard. We're going to give the yard to you. Now he has got to pay VIG to the guy above him. So he's going to run this yard, but 10% of the cash that's coming in is going to the big homie who just gave him that yard. Right. And he's going to have, let's say there are 8 units. He's going to have a rep in all 8 units. So the people aren't going to be going to him, but the reps are, hey, I got a problem over in Echo Lower. This guy's going X, Y, and Z. And the shot caller will say, all right, here's how we're taking care of that. But it's not like he's doing it all day long, because normally if you're a rep in the unit, you've got a little authority. You can stomp out most problems yourself, just going, hey, no, we're not doing that. You two go to the shower and fight or catch a cell and do whatever. You know, it's not there. You only need the shot caller when the rep can't decide what to do, or when it looks like this is going to cause gang violence or racial violence or anything like that. Because like Larry said, we don't want to screw up gambling. We don't want to screw up drugs. I mean, at the time when you're in there, that's the mindset. The drugs, the gambling, the visiting. You don't want any of those things going away.
Sorry to interrupt. Let's say there's a beef between a Hispanic inmate and a black inmate, an African-American. I got to watch what I'm saying here. Please. And one of them disrespected the other. So the 2 shot callers, the Hispanic shot caller and the black shot caller, will get together and they'll discuss this. And what will happen is to tamper any problems between the races. Let's say it was the black dude that disrespected the Mexican. And I saw a similar situation of this. Well, the blacks will say, okay, we'll take care of it. And they'll beat their own person up just to satisfy the issue. This happens
all the time.
Rosemary Romero always has good questions. Could Harvey, Tommy, or Wendy, this makes me nervous, I don't think my dear mom could save me, could they do anything to intervene on Charlie's behalf if they learn that Charlie has been greenlit? Is there anything you can do?
In theory, right? In theory, there have been times where you get a shot caller who's able to be bought off. Like this supposedly happened in Victorville. And that man ended up dead because he was taking cash to allow people to hang out who shouldn't have been allowed to hang out. But no, there's really not much you can do. It's a very rare case where the shot caller's a lowlife and they die really quickly. If they allow people like that to take bribes and to do things like that, they end up the life of a shot caller goes away pretty quickly once you start selling out.
Ooh, and Larry, just a hypothetical here, Larry. What if I went to a shot caller on my first day in and I said, "Hey, chump, get me some more food"? Would I be a dead man? Would I be a dead man?
You would have a very, very interesting and poor experience in prison. But then again, you just got there, so you don't know the gig. Okay, this is funny. I touched down at a prison around the time I first got in. Kind of a segregated dining hall because you're supposed to sit with your own people. I saw a sign that said Native American seating. And I go, wow, I'm born here. I'm a Native American. I went and sat there. Well, a bunch of Indians sat there. They go, you can't sit here. This is for us. I go, it says Native American. I was born here. I'm a Native American. I go, no, Native Americans they call themselves chiefs. It's the Indians.
Chief car.
Yeah, I didn't get they all thought it was funny, and I never did that again. But I mean, you first get there, someone's going to give you a pass because they know that you don't know. Now, let's say you picked a fight with this guy, told him he was a piece of shit and a scumbag, a rape, something. Yeah, you'll get the shit beat out of you.
Yeah, the Larry stories. Yeah, the Larry stories are crazy. The serial killer who seems normal, and what was his name? Mr. What? Mr. The short.
Mr. Clark was the guy, the short, fat, white guy. The very first guy to go postal.
Yeah, that guy could be working at like Payless Shoes, putting shoes on your feet one day, and the next day he's going postal. Look at this, Jody B. I love these guys. Just thrilled I caught the chat. Screw Jackie Pulverari. We don't even need her, but hopefully she shows up. Will they? To you, Tommy, their questions. Would they take him out before he testifies because there's a trial coming up, or do they not care about that stuff?
Oh no, they don't care about it. Once the green light is lit, it's basically the first opportunity that someone gets that they could take him out, they're going to. And it's interesting because one of the questions I saw earlier was the guards know. Usually the guards know right around the same time we do. You know what I mean? There's somebody in there telling always. There's somebody in there that's working with a guard always to get something.
You know what they have? I worked in what's called CMS. Tommy knows what that is. Yep. It's like the maintenance department for the prison. I was a CMS clerk, and I would see all the repair paperwork come in.
Yep.
One day, a work order came in. There was a problem with the snitch line. Now, there's all these telephones throughout the facility that you can pick up and you can use to call home. Well, not only can you pick up the phone to call home, is that vodka, Joel? Is that what you're drinking?
Straight water, unfortunately, but thank you.
So you can pick up the phone and it looks like you're calling home or wherever, but you're really calling the SIS, the Special Investigative Section. So you can call in a snitch tip. So they're everywhere. You got to watch what you say.
Wow.
Now, he's probably, and he also knows as well, Joel, guaranteed he knows he's greenlit. He's hearing, he's terrified. And you can hide. There's things that he can do, but I think that realistically he's going to have to check in.
They're going to PC him up. They'll put him in protective custody.
So Tommy, that's the next obvious question. I'm going to show you some graphics courtesy of True Lifestyles. Susan, who's a good friend of the show, she sent us some reports. These were jail reports prior to him being sent to, I think they were jail reports, but we'll look at them in a minute. But Tommy, what is the next step? Charlie must be aware. You think he's aware. He's not a dumb guy. He thinks he's a tough guy. But if you're Charlie Adelson, what do you have to do now?
Well, if you're Charlie Adelson, you have two options, right? And one is being a tough guy. You go, you know what? Bring it. I'm going to fight the first dude that comes. Make yourself a weapon and say, I'm going out that way, right? I'm going to fight this. Now, what's going to happen is there's going to be a confrontation. You're both going to go to the shoe. There's going to be lockup orders. But Larry nailed it. They're not going to put up with him doing the tough guy thing. They will step in and go, you know what? You need protective custody. They can do that against your will. They can say you're going into protective custody, whether you like it or not.
And now you're living in a cell, kind of
Yeah.
like in solitary for the rest of your sentence.
For the rest
You're
of
not
your
getting,
life.
maybe you get out to the yard 1 hour a week. There's nobody on there with you. You're not going to have the social experience. You're going to have limited commissary. It's just going to be a
Larry, he's in for life. So you're saying in 2049, he's still going to be in protective custody?
He might be, or they may send him to a WITSEC unit. Okay, that's what me and Tommy were talking about in Phoenix. They have a unit there that's off the yard. It's the Witness Protection Unit, and it's been nicknamed the Cheese Factory because everyone there is a rat.
And it's
so
behind this thick black canvas, so you can't even see it.
You can't even see him there, but they may send him there or something like that.
Yeah. But they can't, if he's serving time in state, Larry, can they send him to a federal system to protect him?
Oh, yeah. What's that guy? Chris Watts.
Yeah.
I did a
Colorado
bunch of
guy.
CNN on Chris Watts.
Yeah.
He killed his wife. It's 2 little girls. It's a tragic story.
Yeah.
And I forget what state it was. Was it Wisconsin or something? No,
Colorado.
Okay, well, didn't take long before someone threatened him and beat him up. And they sent him to a federal prison somewhere. It's called an interstate compact transfer. Well, yeah, they can move you from custody.
Can they still get you there, though, eventually?
They can get you anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's great. That makes me feel less safe. And then I want to show you these graphics, but a lot of questions. Larry, to you from Olive Green. How much money is made off a yard per week or month? That's a good question.
You know what? That's a floating variable.
Yeah.
How many inmates are there? How many of them gamble? How many of them do drugs? Yeah. You know, I can't answer, Tommy.
That's the perfect answer. Because if you hit Victorville and the amount of money that's getting spent on dope versus if you hit Black Canyon, right? You're talking about 2 completely different yards with different, there's no way to, but some of them, they estimate that one particular organization that I will not mention makes somewhere in the ballpark of $1 billion a year selling just one particular drug behind the fence. So there's a lot of business that gets transacted in the prisons.
Look at this. Nope, not today. Must be his first day with us. Dude with this language is going to get Joel demonetized. Wow. And I thought I cussed. This is rated G, Larry. What are you talking? This is after he's been admonished by the COE. This is Larry on his best behavior. What do you really want me to shift? No.
How many times have you gotten demonetized because of me? I think twice.
At least. Yeah. Don't worry. And they're like our highest rated shows. You're screwing my kids up. By the way, there's a show right now, Tommy. I don't know if you've seen it. And by the way, Tommy's brother is a star of a reality show. Am I allowed to say that, Tommy?
What's
the show, Tommy?
It's called Super Hot. Super Hot is the name of the show.
Tommy's brother is like a big deal. I had no idea. The guy eats really hot food and has a reality show. So there's a show right now that I watched like 10 minutes of, but then I got kind of distracted. But the premise of the show, this is a reality show, Tommy Scoville, is that, and it's on Netflix. They let the inmates run their own car. They pull all the whatever you call them, security guy, whatever the hell they're called, corrections officers out. I haven't seen what happened, but how bad an idea is that to let the prisoners run their own car?
It's not even remotely unique or new. This has been tried in a crap load of countries. I've read an awful lot of studies on this. It very rarely works. It always seems to take the same pattern. Really old inmates, right? Try to set up something that's a little bit more peaceful, and really young guys tend to go buck wild and decide that they got a better way to run it. And that's usually the way it goes. And that's the way it is in prison too. Larry could probably tell you. And, they roll up and they go, hey, you got a cellmate. He's 22. You just go, oh, shit. Right? There's no way. Right?
Somebody's going to charge him rent. And if he can't pay the rent, guess how he's going to pay his bill?
That was a question that came up. That's interesting. By the way, Alice Ryder Feld getting mad at us. Can we please talk about? There's always one that's. I love you, Alice, but I'm learning all about prison life here. There was a question that was worded very nicely, basically asking Larry Levine, could Charlie perform sexual acts on other men to avoid the green lighted situation that he finds.
Become someone's bitch. I mean, I suppose he could do that and somebody will take them under their wing and they'll protect him. That could happen. He may have to do sexual acts for a whole bunch of people. It's possible.
So this is courtesy. Oh, wow. I can't. Once I took my glass off, I really can't see. This is Charlie Adelson. Oh, my God. I can't read this. I'm going to pull it up on my phone because I have it on my phone. But this is from a prison log. Give me 1 second here. As my eyes still don't adjust. Man, getting old. Look at Jackie just texted almost home. Give me 1 second, everyone here. Okay, so this is just the first one. I don't even know if this is the. Okay, so it says. No, this is not the right one. All right, this is the right one. We do things on the fly here. Okay, so this is a report, a log from the jail, I believe, and it says, while inmate Adelson is out, inmate Garland is shouting threats out of his cell, threatening inmate Adelson's well-being as well as inmate's family. He is calling him a snitch, among other things, as well as stating that he has a life sentence. This guy has a life sentence. He doesn't care. He will get out of his cell and find some way to get him and his family and people on the outside. Inmate Adelson has even clarified that some of the names that inmate Garland is shouting out are known personally by inmate Adelson. This is for documentation purposes. Inmate Garland is not to be used in trustee capacity, and he is not to come in contact with inmate Adelson. Larry Levine, you're the prison consultant. What does this mean in English other than Charlie appears to be not very pleased with this guy?
It means someone's going to most likely get moved. There's a separatee order between the two, or they can't interact. So they'll probably move Charlie because the other guy is already ingrained in the prison and Charlie's the new inmate. They'll just send him somewhere else, and this will happen all over again. I don't really see someone going after Charlie's family. You don't see that much. I guess it could happen, but you don't see that very much. It's sad for them, and Charlie's family, they're victims in this too. So the families are kind of like off limits. I don't want to say untouchable. They just need to pray and keep their mouth shut, not get involved.
I'll tell you what I get too. You know what else, Joel, and what I get out of this? Like if according to the white fellas, right? According to the white boys, if this is an actual no joke dude trying to be a solid individual, this guy talked to the cops, right? By reading this, you can tell he talked to the cops. That's considered like really, really uncool. What he did, the fact that he said Adelson mentioned that some of these names, Adelson should have said, I'm not talking to you.
Really?
That's what a solid, oh yeah.
So cop comes up to you, they're running an investigation. Something happened in the facility. Several places.
You're talking about like a corrections officer, Larry?
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, correctional officer, a lieutenant.
So let me understand this. If they're investigating something, I heard Garland did this, and they start saying, "Hey, Charlie, what happened? What should you say if you're in prison?"
You say you don't know.
Yep.
I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything. I'm not going to talk about it. You don't want to front anybody off. You know what? Maybe if he didn't say anything to anybody, maybe he'd get a little bit more respect. Maybe.
And by the way, this goes back to while he was in jail, 2022. This is not from state prison. This is when he was in jail.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, I know.
It's going to follow him for the rest of his time. Yeah, it follows you forever.
All right, so let me read.
He's got what we call a rat jacket. That's a done deal.
Yep.
Wow, look at this. So here goes the rat jacket, even more snug. Inmate Adelson, this is coming from the corrections officer. Inmate Adelson spoke to myself while I was conducting a round. That's bad right there, right, Tommy?
Yep.
He explained that inmate, and it's crossed out, whatever his name is, had been acting aggressively toward him and making spitting noises, acting like he would possibly do something along that manner. Inmate Adelson was asked if he's concerned for his safety in any way, to which he stated no. He just does not want any issues or to pick up any additional charges. He stated that he wants the issues that have been occurring passed on to the next officer in classification, Sergeant Whaley. He was advised that the oncoming officer will be advised as well as he. So now he's telling other officers to tell other officers. Is he just putting his foot in his mouth, Tommy Scoville?
Oh Lord, yeah. And you know what? The fact that this stuff's out before we ever see it, I promise you, everybody inside already knows what he did in 2022. It's like Larry said. That's so that in the parlance, right, in the language of the inmate, that he's got a snitch jacket, and that jacket's going to follow him for the entire time he's in prison. There's no way to get away from it. If he gets shipped tomorrow, Larry said this earlier on. If he gets shipped tomorrow, he ends up on a new yard. He might live really great for about 4 months, 5 months, or 30 days or whatever. Then someone else is going to land on the yard and go, you know who that is? Right, that dude's a rat. I could absolutely prove it. And there it starts.
Show's over at that point.
Show's over.
Wow. Look at this. Shannon Smith, best guess ever. Gen X Granny's got to get this in. Joel would be someone's trick. I don't know what. If I got in there, I'd be the craziest person you ever met. Here's something so the Chad Daybell trial is going on, and he's on trial for murdering 2 young children and his wife. The question, Larry, if Chad Daybell gets, and by the way, he's up for the death penalty here, but if he gets life instead of the death penalty, will other prisoners have access to him, and how long do you give him to survive, Larry Levine? Very high profile.
That's a good question. I sound like a politician. That's a good question, Joel.
Yes.
I'm glad you asked that.
Thank you.
That's very okay. People hate snitches. People hate people that play with children. So he's going to have a rough ride. I can't tell you how long he's going to have. I mean, maybe he's a mean, big, tough dude. I don't know his case, but it's not going to be a cakewalk for him. Eventually, remember we were talking before about street cred? Eventually, someone will take the guy out, and they'll get a lot of respect and a lot of credibility because they hit him.
Yep.
Will happen.
It's also funny too that he isn't even out of county jail, and he's tripping about, he doesn't want anything that's going to cause any more trouble. I don't want any charges or anything like that. Bro, you're doing life. I promise you, getting in a fist fight at this point is not really going to screw up your yard career. You know what I mean?
He's in the daycare center at that point. True Virgo. If law enforcement in jails, Larry, finds out about being greenlit, do they get involved? You kind of answer this, or do they turn an eye to keep the violence down for their own safety?
I've seen it go both ways. Some institutions, they'll move someone, they'll put them in, as we said, PC, protective custody. They may start transferring people. I mean, there's a lot of choices and decisions that can be made, but remember, if they're going to transfer a whole bunch of people, they've got to send them here and they got to find bed space there. So let's say the shit jumps off at a yard and they want to desegregate the yard and they want to ship all these people all these places. Well, now that causes a ripple effect throughout the whole system. Mm-hmm. So it's easier to just send someone to the hole and let them sit there for the rest of their time.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of people that do their
Colorado,
time.
ADX.
ADX
is it underground? You hear a lot of stories.
It looks like a volcano is what it is. They built it up so that you can't see out, but it's not really underground. You just sort of drive down under it to get into it.
You're never getting out. You're not really having any contact. It's kind of like on Star Trek where the door opens and there's a robot that comes to you and delivers your food. Hey, I do that at Denny's now, but
they're behind bars 23 hours a day, right?
Yeah,
and you can't.
And they look out the window and they can't see anything.
How do you not lose your mind? I mean, that's
everybody does. Everybody does. Yeah.
And what happens?
A lot of people that have been through ADX, even guys that get a 5-year rep in ADX, like you attack staff and they send you off for 5 years and then you come back. No one ever comes back normal. 5 years of that. They even make it so that everybody who has ever seen anything about prison or prison movies, that we make line, right? And you throw a car under a door, you fish that line in so you can pass stuff from cell to cell. At ADX, there's an inner door and then there's an outer door so that they make it so you can't even shoot line or talk to each other and yell. They literally make it so that you can never, you can't even find out where it's isolation. You don't even know where you're at in the prison.
I'm going to start telling people I'm going to tell everyone I did a 5-year rip at ADX.
That's going to be my name. Get you some cred.
COE, let's make a shirt that says I did a 5-year rip at ADX immediately. We have a new merch store. So
I did a 5-year stretch.
I want to just say that. I want to just keep. I did a 5-year rip at ADX.
They leave the lights on in ADX in the cell
all night.
They're watching you in the camera. You don't get your mail either. You get your mail over a TV set, over a monitor.
Larry, would they let me have my cucumber slices for my eyes to moisturize overnight and to keep the light out?
In ADX, no. But if you were in let's say a low or a camp FCI, you could probably buy from the Hispanics because they run like the black market in the kitchen. You could probably buy some cucumbers.
If you're an ADX, can I call my mom or no? Can you call someone?
Yeah, you get one phone call a month.
One phone call a month.
Yep.
What they have is there's like a little slot on the door that opens. Maybe, I don't know, like 2 inches vertically and 8 or 10 inches horizontally. It's like a mail slot, sort of. And it has a lock on it. They flip it open. Then they have a telephone that's mounted like on a trash can dolly. And they wheel the phone around the cell block in ADX. And you got to reach in there and punch the number. And then it's got like a long cord on it. Well, not really that long because they don't want you strangling yourself.
Yeah.
And, you can lean into the door and make a phone call. But it's 1 call a month.
And
15 minutes a month.
Larry, how hard is it to unalive yourself in there? Because I'd be looking for this is my mother, not funny.
Well, there's nothing there really to kill yourself. Nothing. I mean, I suppose
you can't do anything.
Carm, I'm starting every book tour signing. I'm starting Carm with I just did a 5-year rip at ADX. Happy to be here at the book signing.
Okay. If you really, really want to kill yourself, you can smash your head into the cell wall, I guess, a dozen times as hard as you can.
That's the only way. That would have hurt a lot.
There's nothing in there with you. You may have a pick.
You don't have a blanket or a pillow?
There's nothing to tie it to.
Paper-mache.
Yeah, and there's nothing to tie it to. The bunk is made of concrete, so there's no metal, nothing. The bunk is concrete. Your desk is made of concrete. The bench that you sit on is made of concrete. Nothing moves, and there is nothing that you could tie a sheet to anywhere inside. It's all
the toilet is. It's a stainless steel toilet, and it has like a sink on it, and it's got a stainless steel seat, so you don't get your own toilet seat. But the whole unit is self-contained. Yep. So there's nothing there that you can do anything with.
Nothing.
Yeah. ADX has got to be the scariest place on earth. This is a good question to Tommy Scoville. So Luis Rivera, look, I love Larry takes.
I will be back in just a moment.
He's taking a life coaching call. Tommy Scoville. This is a great question. So let me just mute Larry for a minute because he has no idea that he muted himself. Okay. So these are the most fascinating shows to me. Larry, you muted yourself, by the way, so just unmute.
I did not mute myself.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I did. Anyway,
I think with my wife. I didn't want her to bitch at me. So
listen, we all have a CO. Buy her a COE hat in the merch store, Larry. I muted him. I thought you did COE. Now I just forgot my question again because I just got distracted a million times. What was that question that was just up there? There was just a question that was up there. What was the question that was up there? I have no idea. One of the questions that came up, and it'll come back to me. I should have
journaled that question. You would have remembered.
There you go.
Tommy Scoville, this has come up. The fact that he comes from at least what was once a wealthy family, does that help him or hurt him coming from that sort of background? Privilege.
You know what? The problem with this cat is that he's got a bunch of baggage that he's bringing into this from the case. He screwed up so badly in this case that before he even got a chance to have and a jacket is basically the file that is that follows you everywhere you go. The jacket is what people say about you. It's technically, it literally is a file, but we have our version of it, which is what inmates know about every other inmate, and that follows you everywhere you go for the rest of the time that you're there. He has a jacket that's really messed up before he ever got there. If he had got there and no one knew who he was, yeah, he could probably buy a whole lot of good favor and a whole lot of time by paying people off, but not when you're famous for being a rat.
From Abbey Crossing here to Larry, when crafting the extortion layaway defense. So basically I know what the question was. Let me get it before I forget it. Tommy, it was about Luis Rivera. So he's the Latin King gang member, but he cut a deal with the state. He's getting out fairly soon, but he's been in the system. He's been a gangbanger since he's like 6 years old, literally. Does he have reason to worry in prison? He's in the federal system. And I know his private investigator, Monica Jordan, and I think there is concern that if he gets shipped to a state prison, there's problems. But what do you think?
He's going to have problems in a federal prison too. That's just bottom line. If he's going to have problems in a state prison, he'll have the same problems in the federal prison. I don't know whether or not he's going to have a problem, honestly. And it's probably not something I'd speculate on, right? Because of his affiliation. Those guys are going to handle that thing the way those guys handle it. And I'll tell you what, I'm a lot happier that I'm not in the position he's in. Right?
Yeah, but let me ask you this:
when everyone's angry.
I mean,
remember, your shit follows you everywhere.
Everywhere.
What happens though? I think he's from what I understand, he was well respected in that gang. Does that matter?
It helps. It helps.
Sure.
And they're a very the thing with the King Nation, and I will say this, is that there's a family kind of a dynamic that goes on with that organization that is different than others. It really is unique. And I've done time with a lot of them. It is a very different kind of organization that I don't know. They constantly have this sort of family kind of a feel to it. And I've seen situations where people were allowed to kind of step away to pursue other things in life, yet still sort of retain the title honorifically, so to speak. Wow. And that's not something you see a lot. They're a very unusual group of people, and I have a ton of respect for them.
You know, a lot of these gangs, they call it blood in, blood out.
Yeah. That's why I don't join gangs, Larry. Abbey Crossing, though. When crafting the extortion layaway defense, Larry, basically saying that the Latin Kings, I mean, it's the dumbest theory in the world that these guys killed someone that the Adelsons hated so then they could ask for money for killing the guy that they wanted dead. It's like the dumbest theory. But do we think Charlie knew the obvious risk of retaliation? Why would you choose the lie that might get you unalive? Larry, what do you think about this? I mean, it was literally a deadly defense, literally and figuratively.
It's a stupid defense. I think because they came from money, they felt they were above the law, and they may have gotten away with it. But shit catches up with you. I mean, he took a chance. He took a risk. They got caught. Maybe he thought he'd never get caught. It's possible. See,
Larry, by the way, you know who you would get along great with? My mom. You and her would be laughing at the condo restaurant. Whenever you're in Miami, I want you to come hang out with my mom. She'd have a blast with you.
See, criminals get complacent.
Yeah.
I just did a talk in front of a bunch of criminal defense lawyers about white collar crime. Let's use Bernie Madoff as an example. We all know who he is. Maybe some of your listeners don't. Google it, people. You'll see who he is. Bernie Madoff cut a corner. He got into a problem. He needed some money. He thought, wow, this is easy. Then he did it again. Then he did it again. Then he did it again. Then he was in too deep. I have a lot of clients that are white collar criminals. Matter of fact, that's my core client, is somebody that committed some kind of fraud. And I always ask them, well, why did you do it? Well, I really didn't want to, but I was in a bind and I needed the money and I figure I'd make the money back. And a lot of them are, remorseful and such, but I don't see people coming out of the womb saying, I think I'm going to be a criminal. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do that. They get in the lifestyle and they can't get out of it. That's like the key to the whole thing. I mean, if we want to analyze the criminal justice system and the criminal, they cut a corner, they got into a bind, and they broke the law.
By the way,
they became addicted to it.
Yeah. Lest you think we are not global, Sadiq is in the chat from Nigeria. Sadiq, let us know what the prison system in Nigeria is like. I imagine it is not wonderful either. But I have heard, like, in Amsterdam, they've got, like, sofas. It's crazy. It's like a luxury.
Norway.
Norway. Maybe
I'm
Norway.
I'm going to send you a video I did on Headline News where they interviewed me about the prisons in Norway.
Yeah.
just what these people have, and they have a key.
Yeah.
They have a key to their own room, and their room has a guitar and a TV and all this stuff. As you said before, junior college campus, it looked like a dormitory to me.
Yeah, I might go there. Just one of the most fascinating things Larry ever said is that when he was in prison, he didn't worry about bills, didn't worry about taxes, didn't worry about, he said it was kind of nice. Maybe I'd go to Norway and do something. Get out of having
Canada too. Canada's really nice.
Canadians are very civilized. I'll be there for my book tour, May 21st, by the way.
Look, here's a tour of the prison. Make that part of your tour.
Here's a super chat. I love that. I'll take Carm there. Carm, that's a good idea. We'll go to every state prison along the way. We'll go to there must be some good prisons up in Massachusetts outside of Boston.
Sure.
Watched one. Charlie Adelson watched one too many episodes of Sopranos / Ray Donovan. On a serious note, Tommy Scoville, what would you say are like the 2 or 3 main differences between the way prisons are glorified in the movies and TV versus the reality of prison?
Well, that's such a great question. Inside, when you see movies of prisons, you would go with the assumption that we're either getting stabbed or we're getting assaulted sexually 24 hours a day, because that's really the only thing you see in a prison movie. And I did 13 years. You don't see people getting assaulted sexually.
No.
It happens, but you don't see it. It's not something that's out there all the time. Truthfully, prison in real life is the most boring place on planet Earth until it's terrifying. And then when it's terrifying, it comes on so fast and so quick that you spend half your time, even when it's boring, waiting for that terror to come.
It's Groundhog Day, and you're just waiting for shit to jump off.
That's right.
And let me ask you,
it's scary.
Tommy, when stuff does jump off, is it like when dogs sense like the tsunami? Like no animals got hurt in that Thailand tsunami because they sensed it. Like, do you guys get a feeling in the yard that something's about to happen? What happened? Describe that, Larry.
You can feel, generally when the shit's going to jump off like that, it's a racial kind of thing. And you can feel the racial tension when this race goes on the left-hand side and this one goes on the right-hand side, and the cops are shitting in their pants, really, because things are going to jump off. So you know what's going to happen. I was at a joint where it was going to jump off and the cops were scared and all this stuff. And I just walked between the battle lines, said hello to everyone, see, because I'm white. And everyone knew that I'm not taking sides here. You people want to kill each other? Great, knock yourself out. I'm doing legal work for everybody, helping people get out. So I kind of had like diplomatic immunity. Nobody screwed with me, and I didn't screw with anybody. And that's really the way to do time. But you just know when you see people run out, Tom, you'll appreciate this. When you see people run out to the yard and they start digging shit up, because they're digging up the weapons that they buried there. You know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like they're literally digging like with their hands to get to stuff?
Yeah, they buried stuff.
Most people have a weapon somewhere stashed. So when you see people going out to get that, that's never a good thing.
Yeah, it's not good. The best thing to do, and I give this advice all the time for my FCI bound clients, because my people going to the camp, they don't have anything to worry about. If the shit jumps off, it's not your problem. It's not your issue. Just stay in your bunk. Yeah. Mind your own business. When the cops eventually stabilize the facility, and they'll bring in what's called a SORT team, Special Operations Response Team, or what do they call it? Disturbance Control Team.
Yeah.
And then they'll call the inmates in one at a time and ask you what you know or what you saw. I don't know. I stayed in my bunk. That's
Larry,
the best thing to say or do.
I should have gone into prison consulting. It's recession proof. I'm jealous, man.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Yes and no. My business has taken a dump somewhat because the recession that we're having. Yeah. Even the criminals don't have the money like they did. Seriously.
You should hit up Charlie Adelson. He's got a little money left, but he's spending it on his defense. Tommy, to you, if Charlie were to rat out his family or flip, so there's a lot of talk. Like, does he flip on his sister Wendy? Does he flip on his mom, which no one thinks he's going to do? But if he was to flip on one of them, would that alleviate the green lit situation he finds himself in?
Absolutely not. if this is a cat that really is willing to do anything to stay alive, then what he could do is he could probably go in there and proffer a letter and say, look, I'll give you my family. I'll throw my sister and my mother under a bus, but I want a new name. I want to go to a state facility in a different place. And I want somewhere where people aren't going to know where I am. That's probably would be his only hope. And they do this. They will take a guy and put him 20 states away with a different name and a different driver's license or a different prison ID and see how he does, but honestly, I don't think that this is a guy that they're going to be really stoked to make a deal with.
He has no real value.
He doesn't have any value.
There's no value. I mean, we're not talking like Sammy the Bull Garvano here, who's ratting out the Gambino family and killed 17 people. We're talking about some dumbass that got involved in a contract killing.
Yeah.
And he ratted people out. I mean, the government is going to spend the money to put him in the witness protection program, not for something like that.
I didn't know that that's literally the witness protection program, but for inmates. I didn't know that existed. So
absolutely it exists.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah. The cop, Drew Peterson, right?
Yeah.
He got sent to the feds on that kind of a deal because as a cop, if they had put him in prison in the state that he had put half of those people in prison in, it would be a pretty uncomfortable place to stick him. So they stuck him in the feds for a while and didn't work out. Now he's in some state. They moved him to a different state.
And you knew him, right, Tommy, Drew?
I did. We were at both of us ended up at a medical yard for a period of time. I worked with that cat in a kitchen. And then everybody found out who he was, and they had to yank him out and try all over again because he got attacked every other day.
Jeez, and he's like a frail guy now.
Middle of the night, they come in with a flashlight, they wake you up, and they say, "Let's go." You can't even pack your shit. The cop will come by
3
the next morning and pack your shit.
3 a.m. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Jeez. Man, this is crazy. Lindsay Shea, back to Luis Rivera. He gets out in 2035, but I think he's getting out earlier from what I've heard. 19 years in 2016. He's getting out of federal prison soon. He'll be transferred to state prison. Larry, curious to get your take on this one. Derek Chauvin, the now infamous Minneapolis police officer who was stabbed 22 times. He survived, as they say, by the skin of his teeth. And that was, I think, in a federal prison in Arizona.
Tucson FCI.
Tucson, that's a dangerous place.
That's crazy. Is he in the clear now, or will they try to get him again? They'll try to get him again?
No.
Didn't he kill an African-American?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
No.
And isn't the federal system, I don't want to say predominantly, because then people say I'm a racist. Aren't the African Americans a large segment of the federal prison system?
Big car.
Somebody's going to want to get street cred. I took Chauvin out. So he's going to have a target the rest of his life. And even if he ever did he get a life sentence? I don't think he did. Did he?
No, I don't think
a really long one.
Even when he gets out of custody, he's going to have a target on his back. Someone's going to be out to get him.
Well, this is a great question here from Patty G. Would Carm use the F word when talking with Larry? Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it more, probably not. I tend to rile Carm up, and so she tends to use it with me. She'd actually enjoy talking to Larry. She wouldn't be afraid in any way. She'd be curious. She'd be asking him the same kinds of questions I would be, but then she would tell him, look, it's your nap time, Larry. It's 3 o'clock, and it's my nap time, and they'd go off and hopefully take naps in separate places. But she would have fun hanging out with him at least for a little while. Here's another interesting question. Tommy Scoville, could Charlie be making weapons in prison to protect himself? Could Charlie put a hit on someone in prison? He does know how to put a hit on an innocent father. Interesting question.
He did, didn't he? Inside, he would need to get inside he'd need to get some permission, and nobody's going to give that guy permission to greenlight anybody. That's not going to be a thing for Charlie. He's in a world of hurt. He really is. He's in a world of hurt, and I think he has to check in. And if he doesn't, they're going to force him to check in. The Chauvin thing, that guy for the rest of his life, it's like you can't believe how much something follows you in the system. You're never ever forgotten for anything that happens. Guys go in and you'll hear him say, "Oh no, that dude, he went to a disciplinary hearing officer," right? That's when you get in trouble inside. But he went in to testify, and he said, that his cellmate was making wine. Sound like a big deal? No big deal, right? That'll follow you for the rest of the time that you're in prison, and they're going to beat the crap out of you everywhere you go.
You just say, if you're questioned about something, you don't know. You didn't see it.
Even if they know you.
If anybody's going into custody, if you take any advice from what I say, you think I'm full of shit, listen, you don't know, you didn't see it. I'm sorry. They don't know what you know, and they can't say what you saw, because if they knew, they wouldn't be questioning you about it, would they?
Yeah. Someone pointing out that Larry Nassar, he's that infamous doctor for the U.S. gymnastics team. He also got attacked. But I mean, I hate saying this, but I don't feel too badly about that. I mean, I actually know someone. I met someone in Los Angeles that was one of his victims. That guy's an awful human being.
Nobody feels bad about.
Yeah, nobody. He gets attacked every time he hits a new yard. They attack him again, send him to the next yard. He's now hit every single one of them. Yeah.
They try to send these people into therapy where they sit around and they sing Kumbaya and they talk about all this bullshit. That doesn't work. It's all a joke. I have a therapy that's sort of effective. It's called a 2x4 therapy. And you just take the two. Well, I don't want to get you in trouble, but you know what? You play next batter up with the 2x4, and they'll remember that. Seriously. None of these group sessions work.
Yeah. Pythagorean Runner here. This is a super chat. Did you hear that Wendy unfriended? Yeah, that would be Jared, my friend, who's on this show often. She unfriended him because she found out that he's been on the channel. So that doesn't surprise me. I don't think he's too heartbroken. Jared and I would be good cellies at the ADX, two Jewish guys that would just be crying all night.
You don't get a cellie at the ADX. You're in the
ADX. You're not going to get a cellmate at the ADX.
Oh, this is a great question.
You get a Bible, they'll give you a Bible.
Oh, thank you. I'll take the Torah. Here we go. If people associate with Charlie in prison, Tommy Scoville, are they also in danger? Great question.
Absolutely. Once you know somebody inside is a piece of crap, talking to them puts you in a very questionable light with the fellas, right? You are judged by who you hang out and talk with. No one is talking to him. And if you are talking to him, it's because your jacket's dirty too. You got bad paperwork.
I love these terms.
The rats run together.
That's it.
Carm, don't get your jacket dirty. At what point does Charlie think, what's the point, and give up? How common is that? Larry, do these guys get so dejected that, I don't know, but he considers either unaliving himself? I mean, it's got to be torture.
Well, yeah, he may opt for early checkout, and the prison classifies it as escape by death. Says so right on the website when someone dies inside.
Is that an actual term? I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it on the website. Escape by death.
Wow. This is getting scarier and scarier. Misbelieving to Tommy. Why isn't there a section? I could do this all night, by the way, but we'll wrap in a little bit. Why isn't there a section for nice guys who mind their business, like your guests, and the other for barbaric people who are sick? I don't think prison should be the risk, but it needs reforming.
It's
they send them to a camp.
Yeah, there are some places that you can go where you have a much better treatment and you're less likely to get into trouble. The trouble is you got to drop your points in order to get there. And that's a lot. It sounds fairly simple. Stay out of trouble, right? But if a guy comes up to me and punches me in the face, the both of us are going to get written up for a fight. It's never happened any other way, at least in the feds. Two guys are in a fight. Even if the guy attacks me, we're both getting written up for a fight. It's just how it works. So staying out of trouble doesn't, if he goes and gets attacked right now, right, the green light thing goes through, he's still catching a write-up. They're going to ship him to another yard. It's very difficult to not lose good time, to kind of do everything right, which you have to do to drop your custody points to get to these nicer yards, right? Because they do exist. Level 3 and 4 yards are pretty, they're pretty cush. They're pretty soft, but
is there this is a very depressing question, Larry Levine. Is there a preferred method when you're greenlighting someone? Is it with a shank? Is it strangulation, Larry? How do they prefer to do this?
It depends what they have available. My favorite thing is when somebody takes like a sock and they put like half a dozen padlocks in the sock and they boom, they smack them over the head and they open their brains up like a watermelon. It's quick and it's easy, and you can get rid of the sock. You can cut it up, flush it down the toilet. You give the padlocks back. There's no murder weapon. No. I mean, there are ways to do things.
Larry, so matter of fact. From Jenny Moody here, is there any reason that the jail staff is concerned? Would they be concerned, Tommy Scoville, about the optics of a hit on Charlie, that they basically didn't do their job to protect them?
You know what? It depends. I've, like Larry said earlier, I've been in both situations. I've seen cops that didn't care. Like I was in the feds and a guy came walking through the front door and they started yelling Amber Alert. These were the cops. The second the guy walked in, and all, everyone playing cards and looking around like, the hell did he just say? Like, why would a cop, it was real obvious that they wanted us to know what this guy's charges were. But it's different every time.
By the way, the COE wants merch T-shirt. We now have the flexibility to create shirts and any kind of slogan. So email her, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. I personally want a shirt that says I did a 5-year rip at the ADX.
There you go.
Would it be the ADX or just at ADX? At ADX.
It's just ADX Florence.
Look at this from Pate Radar is maybe, I don't know, Patter. I have no idea how to say this. Anyway, it's like reading license plates in here. Are you going to be at Crime Con? We are. STS is going to be there. I wish Larry and Tommy were going to be there. We'll get them there. It's the end of May, last day of May, beginning of June. It's in
Tennessee.
Nashville. But I'm going to get you guys invited to a future one. You guys should be going. If you're going to Crime Con, you can get a discount using STS as your code there. Man, my head is spinning from this episode. I guess as we start to wrap this up, Larry Levine, if Charlie Adelson reached out, this is interesting. This came out of total left field. It's a Larry question. Serious question. Do prisons have special processes for inmates being served for divorce? Usually you get handed divorce papers.
I got that.
Larry, tell us.
I did too.
Okay, so here's what happens. It's generally the sheriff in that county. It's like I was in, I was in Texas, and my ex-wife, she's dead now. Let's call her my dead ex. Wow. She wrote a letter to my judge and sent me about
Larry, you sound heartbroken, Larry. Go ahead.
You can tell.
Told them about crimes they didn't even know about, and to give me as much time as possible. But anyway.
Sweetheart.
What a bitch. She goes in California, where I'm from, where she was living, and she filed for divorce. The papers got sent to, I guess, the LA County Sheriff out here, who forwarded the papers to whatever sheriff's department in Texas or constable. They came into the prison and they served me. And they made me do an acknowledgement that I received the papers. Now, she thought that I would just sign off on this is funny. She thought I would just sign off on the divorce and agree to it. Well, I had a lot of time on my hands and I had a really, really good law library there. So instead of signing off on it, I asked that the court award me spousal support so I can buy things at the commissary. And then I sent it back to her. What my daughter told me, she hit the fucking roof.
No,
seriously. And I went, I'm an asshole. I know I am. I'm admitted that I am. I do sometimes things just to amuse myself. At least I'm not in denial.
There you go.
I would go to the law library at least once a week after she served me, because now I had a case number. And I would draw up motions and interrogatories for all kinds of shit, frivolous stuff that I didn't even want. And I would have her served on it. And because I'm an inmate and the language is I'm a federal inmate in the custody of the Attorney General of the United States, therefore I'm exempt from paying filing fees on anything. So what I would do is file shit and have her served with it, because I knew her lawyer had to pay the money. She had to pay her lawyer the money to draw the shit up to answer it. That was my way.
But by the way, tomorrow, I did not realize this, but the Karen Reed trial is happening. Someone had mentioned that Fridays they were off, but they're on. We're going to have it tomorrow morning, beginning at 9 a.m. I'll be in the hot seat here. And I think Jeff Wood, former FBI out of Boston, will be tuning in. And then long day tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. will be Great Scotch, a true crime Phil with America's most respected detective, Phil Waters, and Scott Duffy. Ida Shaw here, friend of the show. This is interesting. Larry, this is in kind of your scope here since you consult people. What are the emotional phases of being incarcerated? Depression has to be the first phase, or is it denial? What happens?
You know what? It's like when somebody dies, it is denial. I mean, what goes through, I just talked to someone about this who just went in. What goes through someone's head the very first night they're there? Everything just flashes in their mind. What got them there? Every little sound they hear, the cops coming by with the flashlight, shining it in their eyes. I mean, you're kind of freaked out. I adjusted immediately because I was living a criminal lifestyle. To me, it was really no big deal. But a lot of times people are crying. They can't deal with it. And somebody will come over, it's going to be okay. A lot of times at night, you hear like chirping. That's people's cell phone batteries that are dead. And they're dead. And here's an old prison joke that you may hear the cell phone chirp because it has a low battery, and you may hear somebody shout real loud, "Take it out, it hurts." You didn't get it. Tommy did.
I did get it. I didn't want to get it. Look, Destiny Salazar, interesting. Joel's nightmares tonight will be wild. Actually, you know what? This has the counter effect on me. I'm a strange person. I think I'm actually going to sleep like a baby tonight because I'll realize that my life isn't so bad in comparison to imagine being just imagine. I mean, could they get you? Is there any way to get you while you're asleep, Tommy Scoville? Could Charlie be asleep and get it?
Absolutely.
How is that? How can they get in?
Well, in the beginning, right? Until they put him into protective custody, that cat's got a cellmate, right? So when he goes to sleep at night, there's a dude in there with him. And very often, when you hear that somebody's got a green light, right? If you're living with them, at least in the Fed system, if your cellmate's green lit, you don't take him out, you're next. It's that simple. In the Feds, it literally is that way. When a guy has a green light, you can't live with them. So there, you could definitely wind up in a cell with somebody who takes you out simply because of the fact that it's green lit.
So they'll put a pillow over your head so they could kind of suffocate you. And then somebody will provide them with a shank, with a weapon. And while they're holding the pillow down over your head to suffocate you, they're stabbing you through the pillow. I never did this. I heard this.
See, but it is how it is done.
Oh man, Jimmy McNutty. I think Larry. This is a record, and Mazel Tov to Larry. Under 10 F-bombs, he's in rare form. Here's a good question to sort of end on, and then we'll get final thoughts. Did prison make Larry and Tommy better people when they were released from prison? Tommy Scoville, do you think it has made you a better person in an odd way?
No, absolutely it did. My last prison rip completely changed my life. I was a dirtbag. I was a professional criminal for a really long time, and the last rip, was the one that I figured it out. The last one was the last one. I don't break the law anymore. But without that last sentence, that one really did change me.
And Tommy, I don't want to get personal, but did your brother Johnny, was he ever in trouble?
Johnny never went to prison. He's overcome some drug problems, but nope, never went to prison.
Wow. True Lifestyle saying hello. She's the one that got us some of these docs, and she's always so helpful. So big shout out to True Lifestyles. Tommy, Larry, another good question, and I promise we're going to wrap. Larry, did you ever meet anyone in prison beside you, Larry, who said and you believed that they were innocent, who told you they were innocent and you believed them?
I was guilty as sin. I slept real good. It's the people that think they're innocent that really cry and whine the most. I mean, I imagine some of them really could be innocent, a small percentage of them, but a lot of people are in denial as to what they did. And they honestly feel that they're innocent. Oh, well, that's not really a law. They can't get me for that. Who knew about conspiracy? Do you know about conspiracy laws, Joel, how that works? Tommy
No,
knows.
I don't.
Conspiracy laws are really easy. That you can answer a phone call, pass a message. You could go into a store and buy something. You could go park a car somewhere. You do something to further a crime. I mean, these are innocent things in themselves, but it's tied into a larger element of the crime, and now you're guilty of conspiracy, but you think that you're innocent.
Yep.
You know, I did a story on Headline News, on News Nation with God, what's her name? Ashley Banfield.
Yeah, Ashley.
There was a nun. Do you remember this story? The nun that had the gambling problem.
I do not remember that.
Okay, the nun had a gambling problem, and she was taking money from the church. And her whole contention was that she was innocent because God told her to do it or something. So she believed she was. Now, this is funny. Her restitution, and she was like almost 80 years old, is she would have to pay the church back like $1 million out of her retirement funds. And I pointed out this is all a hoax because the retirement funds are coming from the Catholic Church. So essentially, she's giving them their own money back. So there was no punishment, but this lady thought she was innocent.
Wildfire says nuns are big gamblers. Is this true? This is crazy.
I hear they're lesbians too, but who knows?
I've never taken any action from a nun. I just want to put that out there. I've never booked a bet for a nun ever.
That's another good shirt. I've never taken any action from a nun. Get that on a shirt of me.
It sounded bad.
We should become a t-shirt company.
I wasn't covering any bets.
Patriotic, we're glad you guys are out. It's always so good to hear your take on life on the inside. I never thought about what life might be like for Charlie until you guys came on STS. Now I realize he's toast, followed by wildfire here. Nuns are big gamblers. Tommy Scoville. Lindsay telling me that it's sarcasm. I figured. Tommy Scoville, you're Charlie Adelson. What is your next move?
Truthfully, the guy doesn't have one. His only move now is to walk up to those cops he was so comfortable talking to earlier and saying, "I'm in deep trouble and I need protection." That's all he's got. There is no other play. Or he says, "I'm going out in a blaze of glory. I'm going to make a knife, and the first guy that comes at me, I'm going to see what I can do." But I don't.
That's what I would do.
That is what I would do too. But he ain't going to do it.
What's the best way to make a knife, Tommy? Toothbrush?
No. The best way to make a knife is to take your time and cut it out of the angle iron on your bunk. It'll take a really long time, but those are the ones that you need. It's a bone crusher. It'll go all the way down there and it'll get it done. But it takes a very long time to do.
I like the paper mache knives that are made out of newspaper.
Yep.
And then you get some stuff, I don't know, out of the dining hall.
Syrup.
They steal it.
The syrup.
And you roll it and you
how do you make something out of your bed without getting caught?
You know those little triangular black things that you hold paper together with, like a very fancy paper clip that kind of looks like If you break one of those in half, that metal will cut through steel. And it's just you draw out the shape of the knife and you start scraping. And it might take you 3 months.
Wow.
It might take you 4.
But
you're going to carve that out. Yeah. What do you got else to do, right? You got time to kill.
Wow. Someone just asked about Danny Masterson right here, Patty G. Tommy, I know you followed that case really closely. What's his future?
He's on a protective custody yard. Already had a little bit of trouble. His life looks remarkably like Adelson's, right? They're both, honestly, they're a feeder fish in a very large tank full of a bunch of pissed off Oscars. That's what they are. Sorry, but that's what it is, man. There's everybody swimming around wants to hurt you. You're a feeder fish.
Larry, the life coach, we got to have you guys on once a month for like life advice and it can be prison stuff too, but I think we have to, and ask these guys anything once a month. Let me know what you all think. Larry Levine, let's end on something. Give us a piece of Larry wisdom, a piece of life advice, something that will lift the spirits,
There's plenty of ways in life to make money. Helping others, helping yourself, honest work. You really, really, really do not need to go out there and commit crime. You don't. It screws up your life. It screws up your family's life. And you can't regain that time that you lost while you're on the inside. I was, as Tommy said, I don't want to say I was a career criminal, but I was living a criminal lifestyle. I did not need to do all the stuff that I did. I actually enjoyed it. And now I'm still dealing with criminals, and I get to live vicariously through them, and they pay me to do
There
it.
you go.
But live your life, get a good education. Don't get married until you're ready to get married. And just move forward. Worry about yourself first instead of worrying about others. Take care of yourself. Get healthy. Get educated and get smart.
Yeah, Larry is a mensch underneath it all. Good guy, has a good heart. Even though he flew on planes with serial killers, still a good guy. What's the guy's name? Mr. Who from Safford? What's that guy's name? Mr.
Oh, that's Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark. Tell Mr. Clark I say hi. Look at this. Rachel Wyatt, my crush on Tommy, still going strong.
Well, thank you.
We have, by the way, talked about STS singles. Who knows? Maybe it'll start with Tommy and this woman. You just never know. Tommy Scoville, I said to you, would we be able to talk about this for more than 5 minutes? We're an hour and 40 minutes in. The fastest 110 minutes of anyone's life just happened. Sue saying ADX is underground. They get around in golf carts. I don't want to find out. I don't need to find out. I see plenty of golf carts in Miami. Fabulous advice, Larry, from Sherry's News. Tommy Scoville, something uplifting as we depart metaphorically, not literally here tonight.
You know what? This is a good thing. I love you asking to end this way, because I think it's important that we realize that, you know what, this cat is getting exactly what he has coming. You know what I mean? You reap what you sow. And what this guy did, if you're new to this, if you're just showing up now and thinking that we're cold-hearted, then you haven't followed this case. Whatever happens to Charlie Adelson tonight or tomorrow or whenever it happens, he deserves. Sorry, it is what it is. All that cat had to do was live out his very cushy existence and keep riding around in a Ferrari. Whatever happens to him tonight, that's on him. That's my upbeat. How did you like that?
There you go. Beautifully upbeat. GGA, great show tonight. Yes, please have both guys on once a month or more. We will do that. Love both these guys. Appreciate them both being on. We missed Jackie Pulverari. Apparently there was a semi truck that crashed on 95. Yeah, I haven't seen the video, but look at this, Sue. Joel, I'm going to send you some of my shirts from the 13 prisons I ran, merchandise. Love that. Please do that, Sue. I'll even wear it on the book tour. COE didn't put up the book tour. We'll be back 9 a.m. If you're in South Florida, by the way, Miami, we're doing a Holocaust Remembrance Day. And by the way, we're doing a special show on Monday night with Carm, which is part of the reason she was screaming at me last night. She says it's too much. But Monday night at 7 p.m., we're going to do a Holocaust Remembrance Day show. It'll be Carm's take on what's happening in the world today and your questions. Nothing too formal. But this is the book tour. If you're in the Miami area, Monday morning, 9 a.m., we're at Temple Menorah in Miami Beach. And the irony of this, it's within a stone's throw of where Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera were raised, literally not even probably 2 blocks away. So there's a little factoid. But if you're there, send me a message, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com, and I can get you the link to the RSVP, or the COE will have it here in the chat. But tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp, Karen Reed, the trial all day, then 5 o'clock with Phil and Scott. Huge thanks to Tommy Scoville. Huge thanks to Larry Levine. Until then, love you, America. Love you, California. Love you, Arizona. And let's think of Dan Markel tonight. He's the victim in all this. And all the kids affected by the stupidity of the Adelsons, especially Charlie Adelson. Guests, stick around 1 second.